Welcome to all my YouTube and my Facebook friends and family. And if you're watching my channel for the first time, welcome, and I appreciate you for stopping by. Today we're making another delicious fall recipe. It's a pumpkin cake roll. So welcome. The first thing we're going to do is preheat our oven at 350 degrees, and then we are going to move on to lining our baking sheet. You want to do these steps first. All right, so I'm using a 10 by 15 baking sheet, and I am going to line the bottom with parchment paper. But to make sure that the parchment paper sits properly, I am lining it with some butter first, and then I'm making sure that the parchment paper is nice and smooth at the bottom. So now that we're done with that, we're just going to set it aside and move on to the ingredients. Here I have 3 eggs. I am just going to remove the mucus because that's what my grandmother taught me to do. And we're just going to whisk it. All right, we're just going to whisk it completely until the sugar is dissolved. This takes about 5 minutes to, if you're using this whisk that I'm using, but you can go ahead and use your hand mixer if you want to. I just didn't want to get it messy twice because I'm going to use it later. So I'm just being lazy and using my hands. All right, so if you have a hand mixer and you want to go ahead and do this process, that's fine. So after whisking my egg and sugar, I'm just going to add just a little bit of ginger, about a quarter teaspoon of grated ginger. If you have ginger powder, you can go ahead and use that as well, just to add a little spice to your cake. And then we are going to move on to our dry ingredients. So I'm using 3/4 cups of flour. I'm going to add 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm also going to add some spices. Everything will be up on the screen, the measurement, and also in my description box. So for my friends on Facebook, whenever I say description box, I'm talking about on YouTube. So what I will do for you guys is just place it in the comment section. All right, so we're just going to make sure that we sift everything, and then we're going to move on to mixing it with our liquid ingredients. So for my spices, I'm adding 1 teaspoon of cinnamon powder, 1/4 teaspoon of pumpkin spice, and 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. All right, so now we're gonna also add a pinch, just a little pinch of nutmeg to add that nutty flavor to our mixture. All right, so we're using fresh nutmeg. I'm just grating just a little pinch in there, and then we're gonna mix it up. So now I'm just going to add a teaspoon of vanilla before adding my dry ingredients, and I'm going to do that gradually. All right, we're just going to add the flour mixture gradually, and then we add our pumpkin puree. So just to ensure that I don't overmix my mixture, I am using a spatula, and I am just folding in my dry ingredients, and then we're going to do the same thing for our pumpkin puree. So I'm folding in my pumpkin puree, and I'm using the brand Libby's. I'll pop up a photo on the screen because I forgot to show you what I purchased it in Walmart, and it's the brand Libby's. All right, so I'm just folding in that, and then we're just going to pour it into our baking pan. So now we're just going to pour it in the center of our baking pan, and then I'm going to use my spatula to distribute it across the baking pan. You just want to make sure that it's evenly distributed as much as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect because, you know, we're not culinary chefs, we're just home cooks. So just going to try our best to make sure that it's evenly distributed. So as I've showed you guys before I started my process, I had gone ahead and preheated my oven at 350 degrees, and now we're just gonna pop this in there for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes you can stick a toothpick in there, and if it comes out nice and dry, that means your cake is ready. Okay, now I'm just sprinkling on some powdered sugar onto my towel, my kitchen towel. That's what we're going to place our cake on as soon as it's baked. All right, the last time I made my ice cream cake, I used a kitchen towel that has a lot of fiber on it, and it was hard to remove the cake from it. So we don't want to make that mistake anymore. We want to learn from our mistake and use something more like a cotton. So as you can see, this towel is nice and smooth, and there's no fiber sticking out. So now that the cake is ready, we're just going to carefully place it on top. We're going to turn it over onto this towel. What the powdered sugar is going to do is prevent it from sticking to the towel. So the cake is hot, it's soft, it's very moist. So you want to make sure that you're careful when you're turning the cake over onto your towel. So if you need to get some reinforcement, go ahead and do so. As you can see, it comes out really nice. It's hot and steamy, and now is the time that you need to roll it before it cools. All right, you want to roll it right away. We're just gonna use the towel. As you can see, I'm making sure that I have enough powdered sugar because I don't want any sticking. So we're gonna roll it nicely, and then we're gonna set it aside and allow it to cool down completely. So while my cake is aside cooling down, I am going to make some cream cheese frosting, and all you need for that is butter, cream cheese, and some powdered sugar. All right, I'm also gonna flavor that with some cinnamon and some vanilla. So we're just gonna whip this until it's nice and smooth, and then I'm gonna place it into a little bowl and keep it in the fridge. All right, while it's in the fridge, it's gonna keep it solidified so that it doesn't get runny when you're spreading it onto your cake. You don't want to freeze it because you don't want it to give you any difficulty when you're spreading it. You want to make sure that it's nice and smooth. So now that we have combined our butter and our cream cheese, we're going to add our vanilla, cinnamon powder, and our powdered sugar. All right, and then we're just going to whip that completely until it is nice and smooth and, have that rich texture. Yeah, that's what we're looking for, a bit fluffy. And that we're going to keep it in the cooler while our cake is cooling down so that it doesn't get runny. Now that the cake is completely cool, we're going to unroll it and then spread on our cream cheese frosting. As you can see, mine got a little crack in the center right there. That's fine. As I said before, we're home cooks. We're not culinary chef, so what we're going to do is just spread on our cream cheese frosting now, and then we're going to roll it back in place. However, when we're re-rolling the cake, we're not going to roll it back into the towel. We're just going to roll it back by itself, and then we're going to place it into a plastic wrap. So when I'm rolling this now, I have to be extra careful because mine got that little crack in it. So we're just going to place it in the saran wrap and place it in the refrigerator. You can refrigerate it for over 2 hours before cutting it because you want to make sure that it's nice and solid. All right, so I'm going to place it in the refrigerator for, I think mine was in there for about 3 hours before I cut it. After being in the refrigerator for 3 hours, I'm going to cut it up. It was nice and solid, and I'm just going to remove the plastic wrap and slice it up. All right, it was delicious, guys. There was some frosting poking out on both sides. We're just going to remove that first, and then we're going to slice it. And this recipe was suggested by my daughter. She asked me to make pumpkin roll as one of my fall videos. So big up to my daughter Tashika. So if you all enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like it, and just go ahead and share this video with your friends and your family, and place this on your Thanksgiving table. I promise you your friends and family is gonna enjoy it. It's really, really delicious. All right, stay safe, show some love, and I'll see you guys in my next one.